So I think it's about time we drop a rogue company tier list. And let's start off with Anvil. Anvil is a pretty strong rogue right now. He's one of 2 rogues to wield an LMG, and both are pretty nice. And well, the arbitrator is broken. Having 5-star toughness means that Anvil gets a 9% damage reduction. However, he does move 5% slower than other rogues. Anvil's passive allows him to gain immunity to blind effects, and when paired with APS systems and his ability to place 2 shields on the map to close them flanks off, makes him a top tier pick for holding areas down. Anvil really does come into his own league when adding perks such as Epic Tenacity, which is a 40% explosive damage reduction, Legendary Bulletproof, and Legendary Armor, making him one very tanky defender. I place Anvil in S tier. Next up we have Cannon. Whilst a pretty fun rogue to play because of his unique Gatling gun, he fails to well with his kit. The C4 has been nerfed to the ground, and the adrenaline shot, whilst helpful, isn't the best to benefit your team. Like Anvil, Cannon does have a 9% damage reduction buff, but does have base level movement speed. Talon does have legendary tenacity, which could be useful, but does not have APS systems like Anvil. Bulletproof is a nice addition along with life drain, but ultimately I think Cannon will be more useful in respawn modes than demolition. So I'm going to place Cannon in the D tier part. Now we move on to Chaac. Chaac is a very strong duelist. He gets 9% damage reduction, which I think is a bit OP, and his ability allows him to overheal up to 175 HP. Having access to SMGs and shotguns, Chaac can almost guarantee a pick in demolition, especially when a well-used flash or semtex is used to get opponents running for their life. Having access to the legendary perk Tenacity really does help Chaac when he's the first in and he is pushing places. Resupply to get more utility, and shredder rounds can help deal more damage to those armor targets, which are most likely to be Anvil or Trent. And we're going to place Chaac in the A tier. Now my darling Dahlia. Dahlia has always been an S/A tier support rogue and will always be used by pros. However, this might change with Dahlia's rejig. They have removed her smoke and replaced it with an APS system, which means she is less useful in attack situations. Her link buddy system does allow her to match the speed and toughness of whoever she links with, which is especially nice, especially if you're defending and you pair with Anvil, which means you'll get a 9% damage reduction buff. Blaster with a grenade makes it great for trying to pick up a down, and having access to those longer range DMRs, Crackshot gives her a 5% headshot damage buff. Lifeline is a must choose perk for Dahlia to increase those revive speeds, but Rogue Company, please bring back the smokes. But for now, Dahlia will be an A tier rogue. Now we're on to Dallas. As until rogues are no more, Dallas slots into his new role as a duelist. His ability allows him to identify where enemies are by scanning the map, and his recharge passive comes in handy when you pick up a down to then scan for the next enemy, unless of course they have a Ronin on their team who is immune to this. Dallas ultimately provides well needed info when your team has none. He is a pretty well rounded rogue and has access to assault rifles and deadly DMRs, along with incendiary grenades and a stim shot. He gets a 3% damage reduction and also has a 5% movement buff from base. His perks allow him for longer range picks, with legendary Crackshot adding 15% damage, which can be lethal in the right hands. Armor and Stalker are also great perks, and Gunsmith also helps this rogue out. I'm going to place Dallas in the B tier. It's me, Dima. Now this is the first breacher we'll be talking about today. A strong rogue with 6% damage reduction and base level speed. His Merv launcher gets enemies running scared, and when placed right, always tends to pick up a kill or 2 or 3. Dima having access to both ARs and DMRs can help him flip his playstyle in a flash. His EMP grenades can help get rid of stubborn defenses like an Anvil shield or that annoying trench APS stack, and his grenade can often follow up his ultimate ability to finish his downs. Legendary Blaster is a must pick for Dima, which provides him with 30% damage buff. Shredder rounds is also useful to break the armor of those pesky defenders. I'm going to place Dima in the B tier. Now we're on to Glitch. So I think Glitch is in a bit of a weird spot right now. He has 10% faster movement and 3% damage reduction, but the ultimate padded step intel flanking machine was stopped in its tracks with the huge change to his ability last season. He can still be very useful with his global hack taking down enemy defenses. Having both SMG and shotguns does limit Glitch in longer range battles. His perk Tenacity and armor will help pushing into a bomb site. Glitch is required a good team to play around to get the most out of this rogue, but played well, Glitch can be very, very strong, and I'm going to place Glitch in the A tier. Now we're on to Glimpse. A duelist with a twist, and can be optimized for important intel, which kind of reduces the need to pick a Talon Seeker or even a Dahlia. Her speed allows her to get to places faster by having a 10% movement buff, and the best thing about Glimpse, with her passive ability, you can get all important intel without the enemy team even knowing. She ultimately is a really overpowered player maker and duelist all tied in one bow. Her perks, padded steps and evade, help with movement speed and to get to those places and get that invaluable intel for your team. I'm going to place Glimpse in S tier. Now we're on to Kestrel, another duelist who for a long time was a top pick for both pro and solo queue players. She now lacks a lot due to not having padded footstep. Her ultimate ability, Halo Drones, was used so well to getting someone out of position and to pick up a kill, but with tenacity, more often than not, they can now tank this. Blaster is a must go with her Halo Drones, shred around on attack to take down those armored targets, but ultimately I feel she falls behind Ronin and Lancer in terms of duelists, so therefore I'm going to put Kestrel in a B tier. Now we're on to Lancer. Lancer is easily the best duelist right now. She has 15% movement speed buff, and when paired with roll reload, gunsmith, padded step, shredder rounds and life drain, makes her one big pain to deal with. Her ultimate ability with her speed buff makes her a very speedy flanking machine, and she is banned. I mean, in ranked, she's banned a lot of the time. So I'm going to place Lancer in S tier. Now we're on to Mack. Mack is perfect for a Dahlia link. Not only will it give Dahlia 25 armor off the bat, but Dahlia can also get his 9% damage reduction buff. In the current meta, with Dahlia having trophies, this means between them they can have 4 APS systems. Mack is useful for holding enemies back with his light bomb. Having a grenade paired with Blaster is also good for picking up a kill or two. Additionally, the spray and pray LMG power can also help delay pushes. Mack is pretty strong and I'm going to place him in the B tier. Now we're on to Phantom. Ultimately, Phantom is a sniper class, but she falls in the shadow of Runway. Runway provides utility to a team whilst having both a sniper and assault rifle, whereas Phantom has very little to offer when in comparison. Phantom does have a lot of cool skins though, but ultimately if you want to play a sniper in Demolition, I would be choosing Runway. Phantom for me is B tier. Now let's do Ronin. Ronin's ballistic knife does 125 base damage, but can one hit enemies with a direct hit. That paired with Blaster, a 20% explosive damage buff, and the fact she has a grenade makes her very, very viable. Having legendary bounce back means she can get her health back instantly to prepare for the next gunfight. Her passive makes her immune to all reveals and is a perfect counter to Glimpse. Ronin is second to only Lancer right now in terms of being the best duelist in the game, so I'm going to place Ronin in A tier. Now let's do Runway. In my opinion, if you want to snipe, you want to pick Runway. You are not punished for having a bad shot when trying to get a pick. You can then switch to your AR and reposition and try and get another pick. Runway provides utility to her team and can get a double Semtech. Also, with Claymores, you can really hold people off pushing her with all of Runway's util. Energize is useful for getting extra utility, and you can get it twice if timed correctly. Gunsmith will also give her extra ammo in the tire, which can help with the first point I made. Runway is a solid pick, which is why I'll put her in S tier. Now Saint. So Saint accidentally got Lifeline removed, but he is coming back. So Saint does have the ability to double stack perks, which means he can revive people in 1.5 seconds from anywhere on the map, which is actually really strong. And whilst the C4 isn't that strong, smokes can be very useful, whilst Dahlia does not have these anymore, which is why I think Saint will be picked a lot more. Armor can help with survivability along with his 6% damage reduction. Saint is a solid support pick and I'm going to put him in A tier. Now Scorch. Scorch is fairly balanced. She's ultimately being picked for her ability to win a 1v1 gunfight, which can be really helpful when pushing or defending an area. By activating her overheat ability when paired with volatile, it can go from 4 damage per tick to 5 damage per tick. Also, her incendiaries get a buff, which goes from 12 to 15 per tick. Scorch definitely brings the heat to the battlefield, and you will want her to enter bomb sites first to get the numbers advantage with the first pick. Scorch therefore for me goes in B tier. Now let's talk about Seeker. Seeker unfortunately isn't as viable as he was before. It can be useful on some maps like High Castle or Lockdown to get more than one reveal. However, with the Season 6 update, he now takes 3% more damage than other rogues, and his ricochet passive doesn't always guarantee a one hit down with his bow or grenade, especially with the introduction of tenacity. Without Blaster, Seeker seems to be lacking some firepower. Track around is a hefty investment but can provide a good counter to Glimpse, well kind of. Therefore Seeker I'm going to put in a D tier. Now on to Sigrid. Since the increase in size of Sigrid's shield, she has become a bit of a monster. If crouched, the shield covers the entirety of her body and feet. So as Sigrid in this form, you'll need an incendiary grenade or a perfectly placed grenade to get her down. Sigrid, whilst crouched, can move faster thanks to her passive, so she can be used to make up some all-important ground when trying to push a bomb site. Sigrid will need tenacity to counter the grenades, and I'm going to place Sigrid in S tier. Now let's talk Switchblade. I love using the rocket launcher as Switchblade, especially with Blaster and Volatile. This can be strong for getting into a bomb site, even when combined with her utility bounce grenade and flashbangs. Having access to both assault rifles and SMGs makes her perfect for medium to short range gunfights, which you will most likely be facing when picking Switchblade. So Switchblade for me is a B tier rogue. Now let's talk Talon. Talon's dart can be used multiple times to find that all important intel for your team. Over the last few seasons there's been a slight call for a Talon buff. However, when used correctly and you communicate with your team, you do get the most out of Talon. The real downside to Talon over Glimpse is that the enemy team are notified when they are revealed, so they can easily reposition. But an advantage over Dahlia and Seeker is that you can keep repositioning his dart to get real-time information for your team. Having legendary crackshot and pairing this with a DMR can also help with longer range fights on maps such as Lockdown. Talon, I'm placing you in B tier. Now let's do Fixer. Having legendary gunsmith on Fixer just breaks the tire. 3 bullets in that thing means you can get a series of body shots and are rarely punished for missing more than one shot. Crackshot is a must for the tire to help with one-shot enemies. His thermal vision when used with smoke can really help you catch opponents out, but can also help with map control and moving your team from one place to another. For me, Fixer is an A tier rogue. Trench. Trench is a very good defending rogue right now, with only Anvil triumphing him. Trench has a 6% damage reduction and can really hold off an enemy team. Barbed wire paired with Volatile will help increase damage tick from 7 to 9 at base level. Helping Hand may come in useful for your team. Also worth mentioning that when linked with Dahlia, it will allow for 1 additional grenade / APS system. So you could end up with 5 APS systems on your team between you and Dahlia. Trench, you're going in B tier. Now we're almost getting to the end, but let's talk about Umbra. The spider with Umbra can really help push people out of position, but it can also help with getting a pick and helping your team push, or at least having some information on where people may be. Whilst using the spider, you really want to invest in Blaster first to increase the amount of damage that the spider does. Other useful perks are Gunsmith and Crackshot. With Umbra having access to the DMR, it can help with maximizing gun damage output. Of course, the bounce grenade benefits from having Blaster too. Umbra, I'm placing you in B tier. And last but not least, Vi. Vi used to be one of the ultimate high castle defenders, but as time has gone on, she has become very situational. Since the changes in her perks, her passive, she has become a strong defender again. Her incendiary grenade can hold enemies back for 10 seconds. Her Vi balls can hold enemy back for a further 15 seconds per ball. Vi also has access to tear gas, which lasts around 8 seconds. So potentially you can hold an enemy back for 40 plus seconds. But of course, if you have Runway on your team, you can get another incendiary grenade. Her new passive allows her to get up to 125 HP, which is very useful. And the perks you will want to get with Vi are Volatile and Bulletproof for sure. Now I'm going to place Vi in the A tier. Now I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure you leave a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. But until the next one, look after yourself, take it easy, peace.